Welcome to the home network. This is the setup right here for the house. Up here, got the router connected to the ISP, along with a external hard drive. Currently, right now it's disconnected, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. Then we have this Netgear 8-port switch right here, which has the TV, the server down here, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and the desktop computer, and an uplink cable to the router up here. This, a UPS battery backup in case power outage. Internet network still up and going for, I don't know, we'll have to test it out at some point when our power goes out, see how long it lasts. Yeah, but that's what we got, and of course just randomness right here. But we want to talk about this thing right here, this server tower. This has been hosting files. It's been operating on Windows 10. It cannot update to Windows 11 because there is no TPM 2.0 security chip thingy majig in this computer. It has a 1 terabyte HDD. It has only 8 gigs of RAM, i-Core 3 processor. What do we do with it? With Windows 10 no longer going to be supported after October because the security updates are ending, we got to do something different with it. We're going to pivot. This is where things get fun. This is where we can experiment and talk about Linux operating systems. And what we have done on here over the weekend is installed the Linux Mint OS, which I've done videos on Linux Mint on a laptop, installed on a laptop, and that's this device right here. But I went ahead and threw it on this tower. Now I debated, did I want to coincide with it, with Windows 10, have a dual boot system, or did I just want to eradicate it and override it? I chose to eradicate it and override everything, and there's no trace of Windows on here anymore. So, without further ado, this thing has been built as a Linux server. Let's get into the technical parts on how we made that possible right after the intro. Linux servers. Here we go. We're going to talk about it here on this episode, and I'm going to run through a process on how you can do this at home. If you got a spare machine at home, an old desktop, laptop, whatever it is, and you just want to just do something completely different, throw Linux on there, learn Linux right now, today, and let's get started with this process. First up, you'll need to get a Linux OS, of course. I've got an episode on Linux Mint. I like Linux Mint. It's cool looking, it's sleek, it's a great operating system to use. But a lot of the things that we're going to do is terminal based, or in other words, command prompt based. For example, this screen. But, for Windows anymore, you can honestly install a Linux type of screen right here. I got Debian, I got Kali, I got Ubuntu. Ubuntu's pretty popular, a favorite. Kali is more for like the hackers, ethically, of course. But it's different commands. Some of them are similar, but some of them are different. Like, for example, in CMD here, for your IP address, you do ipconfig for the command. But on Linux, it is ifconfig, or what I've recently learned doing this, IPA. We're not talking about alcohol here, y'all. It's not that kind of IPA. But let's go ahead and we are going to virtualize this. And as you can see, I got it right here. I can remote into it. It's a Lenovo system. But I can remote into it using RDP or remote desktop by Windows. So I can remote into the built server that I got on a Linux operating system. There's commands you'll have to run through the terminal to do so. And I could throw those scriptings in the thing. I'm not going to show it here on this video, but I want to show how to build the Linux server. So for example, we're going to use virtualization today through VirtualBox. It's free. It's open source. It's free. And this is a great way. You could get the Linux Mint operating system. I've got a video on Linux Mint that you can go. I'll put a link in this video where you can go find Linux Mint. Or if you want to use Ubuntu or any other Linux distributions that are out there, feel free to go for those as well. But we're going to go ahead and click Start on here for Start Linux Mint. We're going to populate this up here. The other thing I want to encourage you whenever you lab anything, and hopefully it populated in here because I did this on my laptop. Linux down here. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that misspelled that right there. It's El Samba server. I want you to, at any time when labbing, write down your steps, even if it's wrong. That way you'll know what you did wrong and go through again, or simply use Copilot to run it. So I'm going to move my notes over here on my other screen because I want to use the notes. Now on my notes, actually, while this boots up, I actually have a process on here where remove and reinstall Samba, which is what we use for the server, because I screwed up somewhere and I had to figure out how to uninstall it and reinstall it. And this is where you purge. I like that wording. Purge existing Samba to get rid of everything. And I had to go in and rebuild the whole thing again. So in case you screw up like I did, there's a purging process. You can purge that system right out. This thing's taking a moment to boot up here. All right, made myself a little bit small in the corner, and I blow this up a little bit on the screen, but this is where we're going to focus on, is on Linux Mint. And right down here is a terminal. I love the design of Linux Mint. Now, when I remote in, it's going to look completely different because it gives you a different layout for some reason, because I had to install a specific one for it to work on the RDP. But hey, it does the same thing. It communicates to the tower. But we're going to go ahead and open up the terminal here, and we're going to run a mock test here on how to build a Linux server. I'm going to skip the purge notes, and we're going to go in here. First thing you usually want to do is do sudo, holy cow, I'm typing the wrong document. But first thing you absolutely want to do anytime you want to do any type of installation is do sudo apt update on here. We're going to go ahead and run that. It's going to connect and run updates for this thing here. We'll see how long this takes. All right, now the updates are done. Now we're going to install Samba. So we're going to do sudo apt install Samba, which is the system that we're going to use, -y. It's going to install it. As you can see, it's working the magic. Waiting for headers. Here we go. Just let that bake. Let me get rid of this notification real quick. Not now. Go away. Well, that took like a few minutes or so for that to install, but we're done. We're done installing. Now the next step is to create a directory for the server. So again, we're going to do the command sudo, which means super user do. Please do this. We're commanding it to do as a super user. MK for make and dir for directory -p. And then we're going to just create one. We're going to say serve/samba/public. We're just going to create a directory right here. Directory's made. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to do sudo chown nobody no group /serve/samba/public. You know, basically, we're getting anybody access to this thing at this point. Again, we're just, which mine's public access as well, within the home network, of course. So there's those security parameters. You can't get in there without, being able to log into it. So we're going to go ahead and hit that. That one's done. Then we're going to do sudo chmod 0775/crv/samba/ hope that's right. My notes said CR. I need to edit that real quick. Hang on. I'm going to edit. Oh, it's not letting me do. Oh, wait, that's a. Word document. Never mind. Not that I can't. It's in OneNote. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter on that too. That part's done. And we just want to verify the installation here. So C, or not C, SMBD version, invalid option, version unknown option. What the frick does that mean? We're just going to move on. Let's configure this thing. So we are going to do the configuration. I hope this is right. But that's just basic command just to verify. Oh, wait, you know what I forgot to do? It's 2 dashes. Hang on. There it is. My notes is off again. I think it just made it one big old line. But that's the version of what, that we're running right there of version 4.19.5 Ubuntu. I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen. You can simply clear it. That way you got a clean slate here. So we are going to configure the server. So we got to get to the configuration documentation here. So what we are going to do is type in sudo nano etc. Now this is where I kept getting tripped up. I kept doing ect for like etc. But that's not right. So it's etc. You just want to make sure you're spelling whenever you're running commands. SMB-conf. There's the documentation. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in the directory for the server. That way it's part of the server. So we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. There's really no way to copy and paste it. I've tried, unless you all know how to do it. Cool. But I'm just going to type it all out. So we'll do this encapsulation here. Type in public. All right. You can name it anything, honestly. It could be like shared or something like that. This is just what I chose. I'm going to do kind of copy that. So I usually do 3 spaces there. I don't think it matters, but I just want to follow the format that's on here. So we're going to type in our pathway. So path equals, and this is where, and I'll show you where to find these folders at too, because you can actually find it in the GUI and located within the system of your C drive. Yeah, I think that's it right there. Type in 3 more. We're going to type in browseable equals yes. We wanted it browseable. And then we're going to do read only equals no. We don't want it to be read only. And then we're going to type in guest okay. Yes. We're allowing guest in. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do. Now, if you want to do a secure type of folder, so we can do this for an example. So we'll just say secure. This is all security. Secure, and it's not going to matter that it's in here either. Path dash equals, which we haven't really created the directory for this, but just kind of show you this. Because we actually have to have a directory created for like a secure folder or whatever you want to name it. Basically right here, you can just create you can create the directory, name it whatever the heck you want, and go from there. But all right, I'm just gonna, but you'll just add valid user as a thing equals, and then whatever the username is that you're going to give secure access to, and then of course create a password. Well, you have to also create a user too, which that's another step here is you could add a user to this. But I'm not going to add a user. I'll kind of show you the steps on how to do that. We'll create one just for the kicks and giggles, all right? And go from there. I don't know why I said kicks and giggles. Who says that? Apparently me. All right, so here's the next step. We'll say we're done with the scripting. So it took me a bit to figure this part out, but basically you hit Control and then type in whatever letter, not Jared Leto. Letter is what I'm trying to say, is right next to here. So basically Command O right here, write out. So we're going to write this command out using Control O and just hit Enter for your file name. And then we're going to exit out by doing Control X, as you can see, exit. And you can try all these other things here. You can read the file if you want. All right, but we're going to exit out and go back to this screen here. So let's talk about adding a user to the Samba server here. So basically it's sudo add user, and we'll just say Mint, because or Mint. All right. Because if you could tell, username's right here at Mint, name of the machine. So Mint at Mint. All right. Makes a lot of sense, right? So add user Mint, and then we're going to hit enter. Fatal, the user Mint already exists. Hey, AJ from the future here. And what I realized when I was doing the create a user, that was for, because I co-piloted it here because I'm like, I was racking my brain on there. That is if the user is needed for that. So when I try to create Mint in there, that's why it gave me that fatal error. So I'm like, duh, the user already exists on here. So my bad. Continue on. Well, since the user already exists, we're just going to move on. All right. So we want to test the parameters. Test the Parmesan cheese. Parmesan. I like Parmesan cheese. Do you guys like Parmesan cheese? We're going to test the Parm. Press enter. There it is. Right down here. This is what we added here. Public, guest, okay, yes, pathway. I don't know where browsable is at. It's not listed here. Whatever. Mine did the exact same thing too, where browsable was like not a thing. So, but pretty much this is it. This is how you set up a server-like system on Linux. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that and kind of show you where to locate your server on the GUI side. So file system is where you'll click on right here. And again, this is basically Linux Mint. You'll just have to figure it out on whatever OS you choose to run this on. And yeah, just click on file system. It'll take you here. And then you'll scroll through to find serve right here. SRV, this is what we created. There it is, the Samba folder. We created that too. There it is, public. This is your server. This is it. This is where you can find it in the GUI. Now, the other thing is finding your IP address, because you'll want to be able to get your IP address to be able to access this from another device within your home network. So again, this is on a virtual machine, and it may not work for me here, but IPA, going back to IPA, you'll look for it here, and this is what the virtualization gives me right here. If you go down here, it's 10.0.2.15 with a subnet mask of 24. That doesn't really matter in this case here. But this is it. This is your IP address that you'll want to get. And then what you'll do, I don't know if they'll let me do this here. Oh, here it goes. So what you'll do is you'll do 2 backslashes. You'll type in the IP address. I don't remember what I said it was. .2.15. 2.15. And then, of course, public as the folder. But usually it'll pop open, if you did this. I wonder if it'll work on my computer here. Hang on. Let's experiment. I just want to test this and see if this will actually work. 10.0. Oh, what did I say? I keep forgetting what it is. 2. Okay. 10.0.2.15/public. See if this actually works. I don't know if it will. It may not, since it's on a virtual machine as a lab experiment. Yeah, nothing's populating at the moment, so I want to move this back over here. But that's pretty much the gist of it. That's pretty much how you're going to install a Linux server base within Linux Mint. So let's go to the real thing that I built. All right, to show the actual built server, I'm going to remote into it using my RDP shortcut link I got on here on the desktop. We're going to go ahead and click connect. Click yes. It's going to have me fill this box out here. And it's basically the name of the username of the desktop or server that you have, and of course password. Hit enter to OK it. There it is. Look at this. We're inside of my desktop that I started out at the beginning of the video. It's pointing out at. But this is it. This is the server right here. I left all the scripting still here, just kind of showcase like what all I built. Like I got the secure pathway right here for the secure folder. I've created a user on here as well. I'm trying to find where I created that user. I did a lot of stuff on here. The other part I forgot to show you, actually, let me go back in here, is restarting the server. Okay, so like after you get it all done, you want to restart the whole thing. So I'm gonna do this, and I believe it's sudo system. I got this memorized because I've done it so many times the other day. System control for CTL. All right, dash restart SMBD NMBD. Got it. And then you'll want to do sudo system control enable. That's probably what I didn't do. I didn't enable it. You got to enable the server still. SMBD NMBD. Now it's synchronizing everything, the scripting and everything. It's done. It's online. It's working. It's running. Congratulations. You just built a Linux server. But going back into my actual one that I created, as you can see, I've already got some stuff migrated over. There's a secure folder. There's a public folder. It's just started migrating some things over from my OneDrive because it's starting to get a little full. So I want to back up files into this server that I built. But I also have it set up, cancel that, set up on here where I could get into it right here as a network drive and access it this way, and I can navigate and edit folders and such. So like, bam, I can create a folder, and we'll just say new. We're going to go back into public. Hey, look, there it is, new folder right there. So I create a folder. There's a folder right there. Pretty cool. I love this. It's so good, so great just to be able to access a Linux server and also probably do other experimentations on it. And I could just use the Linux-based server from my laptop, from my desktop, locally on-prem, of course. I can't really do it online yet. We'll get there. But anyways, this is it. This is the Linux server. Let me show you also the desktop portion. Yeah, it looks vastly different from what we were working on, but again, this is the alteration I had to get this to work in RDP. So that's another thing for another time to go over how to set up RDP, because this video's gone long enough. We're going to stop right here. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your tech tips or anything you like to share in the comments below. Have yourselves a great day and take care.